a day we are having. The news is just going nuts, and I'm going to go through a few things here. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Okay, so, oh yeah, this is President Trump's high school graduation photo, if you're wondering. This whole story today with Mike Waltz, which is not over yet, by the way. We're going to get more information on this as time goes on. But when this story first broke, I didn't go out and do a video on it right away because I knew there'd be more to it. And I said to myself, "Nah, let's just wait because there's something going on here, right?" Because President Trump, these low-life Democrats have been trying to get President Trump to get rid of somebody, right? They've been trying to get him to fire somebody, make somebody quit, make somebody resign. And when this Mike Waltz thing happened today, I'm like, no, there's more. Let me wait a little bit to find out what's going on. And of course, the media and the never Trumpers, all the the usual suspects of creeps, they immediately go out and start trashing Mike Waltz. They start, oh, Trump fired him, the signal chat, and there's got to be something worse. Mark Halperin was even saying that they wanted to get rid of him at the White House before the signal chat, and the signal chat actually saved his job for a little while. And then we get this big announcement from the president himself that he's making Mike Waltz the ambassador to the United Nations, right? Remember, Elise Stefanik had to step down from that, and he's made Marco Rubio the interim national security advisor, and he's still Secretary of State. This is in the New York Post. Okay, President Trump announced a major shakeup in his national security team, tapping Mike Waltz to be his United Nations ambassador, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio will fill Waltz's former national security advisory post on an acting basis. So let me ask you this, guys. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If Mike Waltz was in hot water, right, if he was involved in leaking and spying for these reporters, would he make him the UN ambassador? What do you guys think, yes or no? Would he make him the UN ambassador if Mike Waltz had done terrible things? I don't think so. Hold on, I got a little dent here in my MAGA hat. There we go. President Trump posted on Truth Social this: I am pleased to announce that I'll be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations. From his time in uniform on the battlefield, in Congress, and as my national security advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. I know he'll do the same for his new role. In the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as national security advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department. Yeah, he would just be fired. He would just be fired. Reports circulated Thursday morning indicating Waltz would be out of a job following a debacle in which he accidentally added the Atlantic magazine editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg to a Signal group chat on March 15th about the Yemen airstrikes. This tells you how fake the fake news are, right? They come out there, they start reporting, he's fired, he's, the Signal chat, Trump wanted to get rid of him for a long time, but he didn't, there's something going on here. They have no sources. Some of them have even, I've got 3 sources. I heard one person say they got 4 sources told them this. They don't have sources. They just make crap up and they feed off of each other. Right? The media, they have their sources are themselves or their Trump-hating media friends. Back to the New York Post here. Responding to the news Trump was tapping him for the UN, Waltz wrote on X, I'm deeply honored to continue my service to President Trump and our great nation. Trump had backed Waltz at the time of the Signal scandal. It goes on and on. So that's it. He would not make him the UN ambassador if he screwed up. So no, he was not fired. He got a promotion, and that's a lifetime title. He'll forever be ambassador. Anytime you see Mike Waltz, unless he gets another office down the road, but whenever you see, when he retires, from the Trump administration, he'll always be referred to as Ambassador Waltz. That's a big deal. That's a very high-ranking position, and it's a title that you carry for life. National Security Advisor is an important job, but if it was all that important, would Marco Rubio be able to do that and be Secretary of State? Name the last 5 national security. Name any other national security advisor. Not too easy to do, is it? No. So yeah, I know. Because the media lie. They lie. They just make crap up. And I don't know if they're trying to resurrect Kamala Harris, but she looked like she was completely drunk, didn't she? She looked like she was hammered, totally in the bag on stage. She's probably not sober. The only time she's sober is probably in the middle of the night after she's passed out. She probably starts drinking first thing in the morning. Did you guys catch Stephen Miller today? I love Stephen Miller. Whenever Stephen Miller's talking, I listen, because isn't he always great? He's the best. Here he is.
Last night, Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech after losing the election. She attacked Trump personally, attacked the policies. Any comment from the White House on that?
Well, I think it was a great reminder to the American people of just how blessed we all are that the leader sitting in the Oval Office today is President Donald Trump and not President Kamala Harris.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. She is stupid, and she obviously has an alcohol problem.
It was a helpful reminder of just what a travesty and a tragedy that would have been. It would have been the end of America. And it gives me a chance to bring this whole thing home.
That's so true.
If we continued on this road of radical regulation, choking off American energy, sending our supply chains to foreign countries, taxing our economy to death, pushing this cancerous woke ideology on our children, ending merit, ending scientific innovation, ending public safety, allowing, everyone goes to the stores these days, everything's locked up, criminals roam free, law-abiding citizens under the previous administration were punished while gangbangers were given red carpet treatment. Democrats, of course, are still giving gangbangers red carpet treatment. And then the border invasion. If those policies had continued, it would have been the end of the American Republic. And the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology.
That's right.
For joining Joe Biden, and remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country. And we're never going to stop talking about this, because what they did to this country is unforgivable. It is an eternal stain on the Democrat Party. Every day we read another story. Every day we arrest another alien they let into this country who raped a child, who beat a woman within an inch of her life, who murdered a mom, who murdered a dad, who trafficked drugs into this country, who trafficked fentanyl into this country, who are responsible for dead and slaughtered Americans. And I don't know what's broken in the Washington press corps, that none of that moves them emotionally. The only thing that gets them exercised is, do we need to have more trials for terrorist supporters? Do we need to have more trials for gangbangers? Do we need to have more trials for illegal alien invaders? Even though Congress and the Constitution clearly say that you can expel invaders and illegal aliens quickly, efficiently, and properly.
Well, he's a badass, isn't he? Don't you love Stephen Miller? I love Stephen Miller. Oh yeah, he's very good. He's very good. He's the best. And he's always right on. And I like how he's there in the White House press briefing room, and he is reprimanding the fake news press corps right in front of him. Right? Yeah, they all suck. The way they handled this story today with Mike Waltz shows it. Oh, he's fired. I've got 3 sources that have told me that Trump wanted the firing before Signal Chat and all this. And then he gives them the big prestigious UN ambassadorship. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Stephen Miller, he probably has been bald since he was 8. Yeah. And of course, 100 days of great success from Trump. He's more popular than ever. Even CNN says so. This is CNN.
Who would be doing a better job as president? Guess who comes out on top? Within the margin of error, but comes on top.
Okay, now the choices are Trump or Harris here.
This looks a lot like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris. This looks a heck of a lot like the election result. We have just seen this in poll after poll after poll.
Yeah, that's CNN. How's my 401k? I don't have a 401k. So, no worries. Yeah, I was talking about this earlier on one of the streams this morning. All these trolls in the chat rooms, all these, Twitch streamers that troll the chat rooms, they all have 401ks. They want you to believe that they all have, they're all importers, so the tariffs are hitting them. I mean, come on. Ugh. Stephen Miller is one of the greatest conservative speakers I have ever seen in my entire life. By the way, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Stephen Miller is a badass, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Americans can't afford milk. I got like 3 containers of milk in my refrigerator. Americans are doing fine. Americans are doing fine. That's right. Now, Tim Kaine, this guy, he's a loser. He ran for vice president with Hillary Clinton, and like many Democrats, he is in a panic. This is Senator Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's running mate. Okay, now they're asking Tim Kaine, this reporter, the reporter's low, you'll hear him better. This reporter is asking about the restraining orders that the fake Maryland man, Garcia, that his wife got against him because he was beating the tar out of her with his fist, beating her bloody.
Does that all weaken the case that you guys are making that he's this innocent Maryland man?
The case that we're making is based upon a Supreme Court decision ordering President Trump to return a wrongfully deported person to the United States. And the president thus far...
Okay, now this thing that they keep saying that he's wrongfully deported, where do they get that crap from? They like to say, someone from the Trump administration said that he was wrongfully deported. Well, President Trump talked about this on that ABC News interview that he did a couple of days ago. What's that guy's name on ABC News? Terry Moron, that was just totally destroyed by the president in that interview. He says, one of your own people. It was a holdover from the Biden administration. Some bureaucrat that was a holdover from the Biden administration said he was wrongfully deported. He was not wrongfully deported. A federal immigration judge said deport him. He appealed the case with his scumbag lawyers. He went to the appellate court, and the appeals judge said deport him. That's due process, and he was rightfully, not wrongly, rightfully deported. All right, let me rewind a little bit. This loser, Tim Kaine.
The case that we're making is based upon a Supreme Court decision ordering President Trump to return a wrongfully deported person to the United States. And the president thus far is flouting a Supreme Court order, which verges...
Okay, now this thing about the Supreme Court order. The Supreme Court does not order the President of the United States to do anything. The President of the United States does not work under the Supreme Court. They are not above him. He does not answer to them. The Supreme Court has no authority over the President of the United States. So this bullcrap thing that they keep promoting, they ordered him. No one orders the President of the United States to do a damn thing. Now, if you have a president who breaks the law, commits a high crime or misdemeanor, they can be impeached in the House and tried in the Senate. But the Supreme Court doesn't order the president, whoever they are, to do a damn thing. They have no authority to do that.
Ordering President Trump to return a wrongfully deported person to the United States. And the president thus far is flouting a Supreme Court order, which verges on a constitutional crisis.
The only constitutional crisis is the Supreme Court and these federal judges think that they can give orders to the President of the United States.
The district court is now grappling with is the administration following the order of the Supreme Court to facilitate return or not. We are fighting to end lawlessness, and the lawlessness of this administration in this case is to ignore a final ruling of the Supreme Court. If a president can ignore a ruling of the Supreme Court without consequence, we are on a slide toward tyranny, and Chris and I are very dedicated to stopping that slide.
Judges are unelected, okay? Where does it say that the Supreme Court or any federal judge can give orders to the President of the United States?
Yeah, if I could just put an exclamation point after what Senator Kane said. I have repeatedly...
The President does not have to... The Supreme Court does not issue orders. They issue opinions. They give their opinion. Like I'm giving my opinion right now, right? You people in the chat are giving your opinion. All the Supreme Court does is give an opinion. This is our opinion, right? You hear that all the time, Supreme Court opinion.
Said that we're not vouching for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We are vouching for his constitutional rights, because if you trample over his constitutional rights, you threaten them for every American and everybody who resides in America.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he got his due process. That's it. Didn't Trump elect most of the Supreme Court? No. Supreme Court justices are not elected. He appointed 3. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney, the one that gave Trump COVID. Supreme Court justices are unelected. When did he get his due process, Aaron? Oh, my goodness. I've already said it once in the stream. He was arrested. He was found to be an illegal with the gang connections. They took him to a federal immigration court. He had representation. The federal immigration judge said, deport him. You're deported. You're in the country illegally. He appealed the decision. The appeals courts upheld the lower court's deportation order. That's due process. You don't keep going to court forever and ever and ever. Round and round we go. That's not how it works. He got, he went to court. Judge ordered him deported. He appealed it. The appeals judge said, deport him. That's how it works. That is due process. When people are up on death penalty cases, like serial killers, they only get 2 judges, right? The judge where they're sentenced to death, and then they appeal it. That's it. That's due process. Exactly. He got his due process. What are they teaching people in school about American government? Do they teach civics anymore? They're too busy teaching the 1619 BS project. The Supreme Court does not order presidents. No. When have you ever seen, prior to this with Trump, throughout your entire life, when have you seen the Supreme Court of the United States issue orders to a president? Right? I'll give you an example. What if President Trump decides to bomb Iran's nuclear facility? Could the Supreme Court come in and order him not to do that? Of course not. He's the president. Checks and balances does not mean that they give him orders. Exactly. Now, one of the best things that happened today was the complete humiliation of low-life Senator Chuck Schumer. Did you guys see this with Chuck Schumer? Listen to this. He's going over these fake polls about Trump. And then a reporter comes in and humiliates Schumer live on television at his own press conference.
Americans are noticing. The polls this week show Trump has the lowest 100-day approval rating since they started polling 80 years ago. The lowest.
Total BS, right? But it gets good. Listen.
Even worse, 72% of Americans think it's likely that Trump's handling of the economy will walk us directly into a recession.
Okay, so here he is. He goes over these fake news polls. He calls an entire press conference just to talk about these fake Trump polls. And then a reporter asks a great question.
People who hate what Trump is proposing. Yes.
There was a poll out today that has your approval rating lower than any other congressional leader.
Okay, so the reporter says There's a new poll out that shows you have the lowest approval rating of any congressional leader in history.
Any other congressional leader, 17%. Are you concerned that you may be a liability for your party?
Polls come and go. Our party is united. We're on our front.
Oh, polls come and go. So first off, these fake Trump polls are so important. He calls a press conference, right? This reporter points out he's got a 17% approval, right? And he's polls come and go. They're not important. What an embarrassment for Schumer. That's the best. I might keep that soundbite forever. That's like the best. What a dummy. His own press conference. It doesn't get better than that. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You know, we're talking about this great new ambassador to the United Nations. We're going to have UN Ambassador Mike Waltz. And the media just was totally exposed today because when it was announced early this morning, right after I got off the air today, it was announced that Mike Waltz is no longer going to be the National Security Advisor. And immediately, these reporters come out and say things that just aren't true. They say, oh, you know, I've got 3 sources. I saw one guy say he's got 4 sources that have told him that Mike Waltz has been fired, that Trump and the entire White House wanted him out before Signal Chat, but the Signal Chat saved his job for a little while longer. And then a couple hours goes by and President Trump says, oh yeah, he's going to be the ambassador to the United Nations. That's a major promotion, okay? And it was almost like Trump said, you know what? Let's show America how fake the fake news really is. They don't have sources. They all lied. They got no sources. They just made that up because they hate Mike Waltz and they thought they got something. It's beautiful. That's right. That's right. Now, one of the things I'm really enjoying is this Democrat Party feud with the Raging Cajun, James Carville. That was his nickname when he worked for President Clinton, the Raging Cajun. And this idiot kid, David Hogg. David Hogg, he's 25 years old. He thinks he knows everything. And he hates people older than him. He's got this Logan's Run thing going on that anybody who's over 30 needs to be out. And David Hogg seems to not understand that he's getting older too, and he's getting close to 30. But it's a lot of fun. Listen to this.
And you said that members of the DNC should sue him for doing this, since David is a member of the party leadership. He is the vice chairman.
I think he's the vice chair.
Yeah,
he's vice chair. Let me be very specific. I think it is abominable that an official of a political party who is being paid or supported by that political party to go out and raise money to defeat members of the same party.
Now, it doesn't look like James Carville knows that David Hogg is right here. And why is James Carville doing all these interviews from bed? It looks like a hotel. Is he in a hotel? Why is he lying in bed? Very strange. And where's his wife?
Members of the same party. I think that's a jackassery of the highest level.
James, can you tell me?
If you want to beat Republicans, of which of course lefties never do, they never even run against them. That's one thing. I'm not into beating Democrats. I'm into beating Republicans. And will tell you right to your face, I think it's abominable that you have anything to do with the DNC and you're going to go and raise $20 million to beat other Democrats.
I love it. You know, remember in the first campaign, Trump said all the time, he says, say what you want about Democrats, but they always stick together. Well, that's not the case anymore, is it? No, it is not. They do not stick together anymore. And not only that, there's a major, major battle going on inside the Democrat Party, and that is great because we're coming into the midterm elections will be here before we know it. The Democrats have no leader, no candidates. They got a bunch of weirdos fighting amongst themselves to be the voice of the party, the leader of the party. And then you got David Hogg, whose main effort is to raise as much money as he can to help Democrats that are incumbents lose elections. This is awesome. And, you know, of course, in the midterms, President Trump and the Republicans are going to be, you know, giving us the biggest tax cuts in the history of the United States. And the Democrats are going to be in disarray. This is wonderful. Now, of course, President Trump was right, as always. The fake Maryland man, Garcia, the wife beater who's in the terrorist organization MS-13, has an MS-13 tattoos on his fingers, which is a personal confession that he is MS-13, which is a terrorist organization. Kilmar, what kind of name is Kilmar, by the way? Was that his name at birth, or is that a gang name? This is CNN. They're talking about Garcia and the MS-13 tattoos.
Why do you think President Trump was so fixated on demonstrating that tattoo on Abrego Garcia's knuckles, purportedly, according to ABC and others, photoshopped? Why was he so intent on proving it was not?
Because the administration, it follows in this overall strategy where the administration has tried to turn this from a legal argument to an immigration argument by continuing to accuse Mr. Abrego Garcia of being a member of MS-13. The evidence that the government and law enforcement relied on for that has been the subject of scrutiny.
Oh, scrutiny, yeah, by his scummy defense lawyers. Okay, he is MS-13. When he was originally arrested, okay, he was arrested with other men. They were MS-13, and one of them was a confidential informant for the gang unit of the local police that arrested Garcia, and he said he's MS-13, okay? And the tattoos on his fingers are in code. Now, this is on my X. If you guys follow me on X, Brian Craig Show, you can see this. The first finger, he's got a marijuana leaf, right? That's M. The second finger, he's got a smiley face. That's S, MS, okay? The third finger, he has a cross, okay? The cross represents 1, the number 1, that's the 1 in MS-13. And the last finger is a tattoo of a skull. In Spanish, skull is calavera. Starts with the letter C. C is the third letter of the alphabet. MS-13. That's it. That's right. I mean, that's just the way. He is MS-13. He's confessing, and it's coded in his tattoos. In fact, his wife, even on her Instagram, took pictures with him, and then she put heart emojis over his tattoos on his fingers. Why did she put heart emojis over his fingers? If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. My name's Brian. If you're new, welcome to my channel. And we're just celebrating this incredible, historic second and non-consecutive term of Trump. You know, there's only been one other president. It was in the 1800s, Grover Cleveland, who had 2 non-consecutive terms. All of these lefties out there and these fake news people that are trying to promote the idea that he has low poll numbers, the guy, think about it, he had 4 years since his last term, all this legal BS they made up, all the lawfare, everything he went through the 4 years, he won in an overwhelming landslide victory, winning all the battleground states. How is it even possible that this historic second non-consecutive term, 100 days in, 3 months in, he has tanked the polls? That's not even believable. It's not even believable. I mean, and anybody who would try to promote something so absurdly stupid really needs to think about that, right? If this was a regular back-to-back first term, you might be able to make that case, but really not this close to a re-election. But a non-consecutive term, the chances are none of us will see another 2 non-consecutive term president in our lifetime. This may be the last time it ever happens. All right, when was Grover Cleveland? Let me see how long ago Grover Cleveland was. I don't remember what year he was president. Let's see. When was he president? Yeah, he was the 22nd and 24th president. Let's see. He was first elected in 1885, and then his first term ended in 89, and then he was re-elected 4 years later in 1893 to 1897. It's the 21st century. The last time this happened was in the 19th century. It is so historic. That is how popular Donald Trump is. So you never Trumpers, you just got to accept that you're living in a MAGA nation. I know it's hard for you, but you're in a MAGA nation. That's right. It's true. And we're so lucky to be living through this historic time with President Trump. You know, right now, President Trump talked about this the other night. Illegal crossings into the United States from our southern border from Mexico are down 99.99%. They're down 99.99%. Think about that. That's virtually, basically 100%. They let like 9 people in. And those people were let in for medical reasons. They got to the border and they were about ready to drop dead, so they let them in for medical treatment. Or it'd be 100%. I know, it's beautiful. Without passing any legislation. He's got the Marines down at the southern border. He's got, Mexico has their army at their northern border, stopping people from coming through. The wall's almost done. Egg prices are down 87%. I saw gas today for $2.60 a gallon. It's even lower in some places. Things are going great. Zelensky signed the mineral deal with the United States to end the war with Russia. This is, you know, it's awesome. Things could not be going better than they're going. Oh, yeah. Liberal tears. Well, the Trump derangement syndrome is, they're in a lot of denial. And President Trump had that great rally, the 100-day rally in Michigan. I'll play a clip or two from that. This is President Trump in Michigan the other night.
We're taking back our country from a sick political class that got rich selling America out and bleeding America dry. We don't let that happen anymore. And we had 4 great years. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. The stock market went up 88%. We did great. And we're going to do better now, because now we learned a little bit. After years of leaders who sent your money to defend the borders of distant foreign nations, that's what we did. We'd fight for other nations, but not for ourselves. You finally have a president who is defending our borders and our nation.
That's right. That's right. That's not happening in our lifetimes either. That's amazing. Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. That's what the military is for. That's right. Here's another clip. This is President Trump in Michigan the other night.
This transformation been more dramatic than our southern border. You have seen a change on your southern border that Sleepy Joe said couldn't happen.
That's right.
Sleepy Joe, the worst president in history, said it couldn't happen. The last administration engineered a massive border invasion, allowing gangs, cartels, and terrorists to infiltrate our communities and rape and murder our citizens, and that is being nice about it. That's actually being nice about it. They are the worst. But standing before you today, I can proudly report that this heinous betrayal is over and that we have achieved the most secure border in American history by far. In American history.
That's right. What a great time. No, Trump, he was just elected. Dictators, they don't have elections. Now, of course, these judges who think they're running the country, not the president. President Trump's, this is at the Michigan rally, he's talking about these judges that are really part of a judicial insurrection or judicial coup against the presidency.
We cannot allow a handful of communist radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the president to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing, but
No, it's not.
I hope for the sake of our country that the Supreme Court is going to save this, because we have to do something.
Yeah, we do. These judges don't boss around the president. Yeah, you know, the trolls aren't talking about egg prices anymore. Have you guys noticed that? They're not talking about egg prices. Just a few weeks ago, all the trolls in the chat room, all they wanted to talk about were egg prices. I wonder why.
And our first 100 days have also produced historic results in the battle to defeat Biden's inflation disaster and bring jobs and wealth back to America and bring them back to Michigan, okay? We want to bring them.
That's right.
As an example, since I took office, the
This is
cost
great.
of eggs is down 87%. Now, well, you remember a few weeks ago before Thanksgiving, before we heard about it, before I heard about it a long time ago, before Thanksgiving I heard about it, and then I was hearing that I wasn't president. This guy was barely president. Nobody knew, was he president? Who the hell was president? To this day, I say it was the one that operated the auto pen, but what do I know? But I was hearing about eggs, and then all of a sudden we have a great election victory. And my first week in office, they start screaming at me, "What about the price of eggs? Eggs, eggs." I said, "I've only been here for 6 days." I was there
6 days.
I said, "What's wrong with eggs?" They said, "The price of eggs has gone through the roof and you won't be able to have them for Easter."
Oh.
So I put our very capable Brooke Rollins, who's our wonderful Commissioner of Agriculture that you know in Michigan. I said, "Brooke, I've only been here 6 days before I heard, maybe even less, maybe 5, maybe 4. But it was my first week. And I said, "Brooke, you got to save me here. I'm getting killed about eggs. What the hell's going on with eggs?" She said, "Well, you can't get them. The price is through the roof. And it looks like we're going to have a real problem for Easter. You're not going to have eggs." I said, "Brooke, that doesn't sound politically viable to me."
Yeah, we need eggs.
Because nobody's going to believe me when you get out there that it's Sleepy Joe Biden's fault. So, Brooke, you got to get going, Brooke, please. And she did a great job. And you had so many eggs for Easter, and your price was down 87% from that point. Prices are coming way down. You know, the fake news doesn't say it. They said, he pledged. Now, I pledged safe borders. I pledged all sorts of things. But they said, he pledged to bring prices down. Well, that's what I've done.
Yep.
They're trying to say the prices have gone up. Your energy, your car, your gasoline, they have 3 states this week, a couple of days ago, that were $1.98.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
So gasoline prices are down by a lot. Energy prices are down. Mortgage rates actually just went down. Prescription drug prices just saw their largest monthly decline ever recorded. How about that? Remember what you heard.
That's right. That's right. Prices are down. Sorry. Trump knows what he's doing. He does know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. I know. I know. I don't know what you mean about due process. Who didn't get due process? President Trump's brought home 46 American hostages in his first 100 days. It's not even in the news.
In 3 months, my administration has brought home 46 American hostages and citizens detained abroad. We paid nothing. We don't pay. We don't pay. You know, if you pay, those kidnappings go way up. We don't pay. Every time Biden brought people back, he'd pay $6 billion. $6 billion.
Can you imagine? He didn't pay 10 cents and he got them back. 46 American hostages are now back home in the United States because of President Trump. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, all right? My name's Brian. This is most definitely, as you can tell if you're new, where MAGA comes to talk. This is the most pro-Donald Trump space you will find anywhere, not just on YouTube, anywhere. You'll never hear me disagree with President Trump. You'll never hear me criticize President Trump. Not that he's done anything that I would criticize that I'm hiding from you. Everything he's doing is perfect. Perfect. If you love Trump, press 1, by the way, in the chat room, if you don't mind. 1 if you love Trump. There's no other choices. Yes. Look at that. Look at all those 1s. Look at all those 1s. That's right. A lot of MAGA love. That's right. Yeah. You know, it's like Dr. Phil was speaking at the White House today with President Trump, and he says, you know, even when the cameras aren't around, there's nobody around, no reporters, and he says President Trump just loves the American people. He's the only president that we've had in any of our lifetimes who's really, truly working for the American people. All the rest of them are working for some special interest somewhere, whether it's the military-industrial complex or big tobacco or somebody, you know. Planned Parenthood, the trial lawyers, all these big donors have controlled all the other presidents except this one. That's right. And things are going perfect. Perfect. I mean, what is something that Trump's done in his second term that's gone wrong? Everything he's doing has gone perfectly, including the tariffs, by the way. We're going to win that. These countries, they need us. We don't need them. They need us. Watch, it won't be long before this idiot prime minister in Canada makes a deal with Trump. Canada cannot survive without the United States. We're supporting all of Canada. We're supporting the whole world, not just Canada. It is true. It is true. Trump is fearless and tough. That's right. There are 3 branches of government. That's right. And Trump is the president and runs the executive branch and has incredible power. What's my level of education? I have a college degree. Whatever college degree I have, you'll tell me you got the next one higher. Right? If I say I have a PhD, you'll say you've got 2 PhDs. But no, I'm a college graduate. That's right. I went to college before all this DEI crap took over. But, yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, tariffs. You know, tariffs are bringing back all kinds of business. Let me pull this up. President Trump at the White House launched their own news website, which is an incredible website. It's a kind of a takeoff of the Drudge Report. It's whitehouse.gov/wire, W-I-R-E, whitehouse.gov/wire, and it's a news website that the White House has put out, and it's got great stuff on it. Everything that he is doing is right there, and the tariffs are bringing like $1 trillion of business back into this country. Well, the Doge dividends we're going to get are when the taxes get cut. We're about to get the largest tax cut in the history of the United States. And when we get that, that's thanks to Doge. Oh, yeah. Oh, there have been it's whitehouse.gov/wire. Look at this. President Trump he did this today, establishes the Religious Liberty Commission. You know, we had the Democrats in Obama's third term with the Biden regime. Remember that grandmother they put in prison because she was praying in front of an abortion clinic? It's disgusting what these Democrats have been doing. They took prayer out of school years ago, and they just won't stop. This is amazing. President Donald Trump held a very special ceremony at the White House Rose Garden today, where he signed an order establishing a new commission aimed at protecting religious liberty in America, proving once again that he's the president for all Americans of all faiths and beliefs. I mean, that's just, yeah. No more discrimination against Christians. It's over. Oh, I love Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is great. Yeah, they should bring prayer back in the schools. Maybe the Department of Education should send Bibles to all the schools. That sounds like a pretty good idea, doesn't it? A pretty good idea to me. Look at this story. Now, this is on the this is in the Washington Times. Okay, Trump's tariffs are saving factories from moving overseas. This is in the Washington Times last Wednesday. America's economy thrives when businesses and consumers are free to buy and sell in global markets, unburdened by needless regulations and taxes. And here we have it. Not only are factories not leaving factories are going to be coming back. And the Treasury Secretary, Trump's Treasury Secretary said the other day, and this was amazing. He said what Trump is going to do, that if you move your factory to the United States, which, by the way, then there's no tariffs, you can expense on your taxes the entire cost of the facility, of the factory. That's huge. I never heard anybody think that way before, but Trump does. He thinks about things in ways that others don't. And look at this. Listen to this story. Just as an example of how well things are going in the first 100 days. Do you know what the current inflation rate is in the United States? Tell me in the chat, what is the inflation rate right now? The rate of inflation right now in Trump's second term in the first 100 days. Any guesses? What is 2.2, 0? That's right, 0. 0. The inflation rate right now is 0. 0. Breitbart. And it's put out by the Federal Reserve also, released that. 0. That's right. I've never heard it be that before. Federal Reserve, Breitbart has a story. I posted it on my X. That's right. The inflation rate is 0. Isn't that amazing? Who would have even thought something like that was possible? Have any of you ever heard of the inflation rate being 0? I've never heard that before. That's amazing. Trump 2028 sounds good to me. I'd vote for him again. Yes or no? Would you guys vote for Trump in 2028? I would. It's 0. 0. It's reported. Breitbart has a story on it. I just shared it. It's on my X. You guys can go read the story if you want. Yes, absolutely. I would vote for President Trump for life. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd vote for him in 28. I'd vote for him in 32. So this Tesla terrorist, a judge let this Tesla firebomber out. Listen to this.
Bria and John, the government wanted Owen McIntyre to spend the time before trial behind bars, but the judge in Boston sided with the defense in this case, which cited multiple medical issues facing the 19-year-old, including autism spectrum disorder, gender dysphoria, and...
Oh my goodness. Autism and gender dysphoria, so you firebomb Tesla dealership, you don't go to jail because of gender what is gender dysphoria anyway? And it seems like everyone who's Gen Z is autistic or something. I've never heard of such a thing. You don't want 0% inflation. Yeah, right. You know, a couple weeks back, all the trolls are complaining about inflation. Now it's 0, and you don't want 0. You want higher inflation. Give me a break. Maybe we'll get negative inflation. Oh no, Breitbart is a great source of news and information. No doubt about it. Very good source. No, it's the truth. I know. It's absolutely amazing that President Trump did that. No doubt about it. Now, here's a guy that got interviewed, and he didn't vote for Trump, but he wishes he did. Listen.
I think he's amazing. Neighbors Catherine Desatel and Ron Dundor now bond over their shared love for Trump. Yes. Ron didn't vote for him in the last election, but now he wishes he had.
I've been very pleasantly surprised with what he's doing for the country. I think he's got a really good cabinet in there this time.
Being from California.
Yeah, look at that. And that's CBS. The CBS Morning Show reported that. So when you have Trump-hating, Republican-hating, CBS News reporting, that's a big story because the fake news media have been trying to get this false narrative going that MAGA voters are regretting their votes. So what they've been doing is some Republican senators and House members have been having town halls So they've been getting these MAGA hats, handing them out to Democrats, sending these Democrats to Republican town halls and using all these liberal talking points like due process for Garcia and a MAGA hat. And they've been trying to say, oh, look, MAGA voters regret their vote. There's not a single MAGA voter who regrets their vote. President Trump is doing everything we elected him to do. You know, promises made, promises kept. There's not a single a real MAGA person who's not proud of President Trump and everything he's doing. Anyone who says they're MAGA and they regret their vote, they're fake MAGA. They're not real MAGA. Now make sure, if you're new to my channel, that you subscribe, okay? Because this is where MAGA comes to talk. I live stream all the time, and I do a live stream in the morning when I'm on the radio, and I take live calls. You can call me live during the stream, whether you agree or disagree. And all you trolls, if you can man up, you can call me too. And call me out and challenge my ideas. I don't think you'll do too well because I'm right about everything involving President Trump, but you can try. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to take off. Thanks for watching. My name is Brian Craig. It's where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you next time. Take care.